Here was just a long awaited YouTube post for August 16th, 2025. So, some of the stuff I'm saying with a grain of salt, because I'm not sure yet, since there's been changes to my schedule, with also questions and things right now. But I would definitely have it paid off this week, thank God. But, anyway, preset. Of course, as always, check me out on YouTube, 30 Sexy Kid. Social media, TikTok, Angel Boy 2029, which I'll talk about in a few. Instagram, Derek Curly 4500. It's my newer one, even has some newer ones to talk about. YouNow, Derek Curly 90701. And then there's 9401. And then Snap. And the rumors of it going away is not going away. Some person did a hoax on Snapchat, so Snapchat is not going away. My Linktree, check me out at Derek Curly. Linktree/Derek Curly. DRICKKEARLEY. YouNow account, obviously. Derek Curly _ 9401. Derek Curly _ 790401. For a cheesecake. And if you're German like me, cheesecake's the bomb. Alright, so this is my analytics for my last TikTok upload. So this is from the 15th. So total views 3,217. View followers 15. Comments 1,028. Likes 191k. Shares 404. Duration 4 hours. So this one, when I'm done, I'll post it on YouTube, but I won't post it on TikTok because of violation crap, which sucks. Duration reward 0.11, mission reward 0.01, balance $2.83. Alright, estimated reward 0.00. And my thing on booster score, so I'm at 582 in my credit. My credit limit is $244.96. I'm already at max. I'm minus $1.74. I have a pending payment of $118, which will leave me remaining balance of $126.96. And then have one more payment out of the 20th towards my credit loan. Then my credit limit can reset, so we'll see what I get after. Thanks to the people that got me up to 50 subs. The last time I looked at my teaser, I had 34 people that checked out my YouTube teaser. It was at 47 subs, went to 50 subs. Thank you so much. Let's try to get at least 100 before the end of the year. At least that's my goal anyway. So vacations, well, as Mr. Baum knows, I've put on hold again because of hours, money, and just bullshit. So the trip from Monroe is on hold again due to money, less hours, and having to be a grown up again. So we'll plan to see Mr. Baum in March, or close to more like May maybe. But we'll deal with that when time comes. And his birthday is March 11th. So if he's online on Twitch, I wish him happy birthday. Because he and I are 2 months apart, which is funny. So which means he's probably the same age as me within reason. Even though he doesn't look it. Fountain of youth. Anyway, Mr. Baum in March for his birthday. So for March, a pre-scheduled vacation in November, for which is as follows. So I'm gonna do. This is a hotel, mind you. The 16th to the 20th. This is train. $198 is a round trip, which means I'm doing. Say the 13th to the 22nd for vacay for March. The hotel, of course, is going to be 4 days at $329.52 is the last time I looked, and as you know, hotel rates was freaking changed. No matter how many times you look at it, just like a freaking weigh scale, right? So same thing. Depart 6:20 a.m. in the morning, arrives in Glendale at 4:33 p.m. Departs Glendale at 11:26 a.m. and arrives at 8:25 p.m. in San Jose. Hopefully in October, I'll be able to get a hotel here that we can stream, vlog, sleep, eat, chill, definitely post pictures of the hotel, of course. But that's looking like $395.76 for an extended stay in America. Love that hotel. Also received my quarterly shares from CVS and was valued they gave me 6 shares this last quarter. Estimated amount was $338.20. Cancel, no toads, that I'm still working on. Okay, that one I did that one. That's old. And then I know one of them I'm shy 1 crown. I'm almost at 3rd crown, which I think is the main one. But 9401, diamond balance is 16,098, cash value is 161, producers is 17,185, more likes by August 31st, secure status, which is 22,815 of 40,000. I'm at 38.6 experience to level 122 plus 50,000 pearls, which is a bonus, mind you. 8.9 million in pearls, 10,117 in coins. So I have 21 fans on that one, or 21k, sorry, or 2k. Sorry, I need to be at 2.5 in order to be considered a partner, if they haven't changed that. Fan of 421 likes. The last broadcast, which was the 11th, was 28,060. Thanks to the 3 top fans was Ina, Zafo, and General. So on the newer one, I'm at 2,567 total cash value, 26 cents in USD. Producers, I need to send 11,410 more likes by August 31st to secure status. 590 out of 12,000 is remaining. My level is 0.724, experience at level 13 plus 1,500 bonus pearls. Pearls are at 29,180, coins are 9,125. I'm at 523 fans on the newer account, 50 I'm a fan of, and then I'm at, as of August 13th, which is my most recent, 5,038. So top fans were Rocco, George. I'll call her H14 for the story. Alright, so on to long stories. So anyways, Silicon Valley Bike Superhighway gets state funding. The state has stepped in to help fund the initial phases of the bicycle superhighway that will make commuting between Santa Clara and East San Jose easier. The California Department of Transportation has awarded BTA a $14 million grant for the Central Bikeway Project, a 10-mile stretch of protected bike lanes connecting the Sunnyvale-Santa Clara border with Berryessa BART station. The funding will go towards the required environmental studies, which officials say could take about 2 years. The board of directors is expected to choose a consultant to handle the studies in late fall or early winter. A 2022 feasibility study shared broad details of the bikeway. Its route runs from El Camino Real in Santa Clara and Hadding Street, Alameda, Taylor Street, Mulberry Road, San Jose. The protected lanes will physically separate cyclists and pedestrians. Yeah, a lot of us are stupid. from vehicle traffic using concrete, landscaping, and other permanent barriers. Santa Clara County has a network of bike trails that run north-south, including the Guadalupe Creek Trail and the Stevens Creek Trail, and Ledbetter said the planned bikeway will fill the county's need for an east-west connection, while the $4 million from the state is helping the bikeway's momentum. The project's full price tag is estimated to be more than $200 million. A VTA board member and Santa Clara council member said she's worried about the cost in light of the public transit agency's projected deficits. Make this a little bigger. I like using the font modern, and it looks really pretty, right guys? But then In-N-Out Burger. I have no money for McDonald's. I got my typical double cheeseburger, 2 of them, shake and fries. What's going to do? Sorry, I'm just trying to find the. Double cheeseburger, 2, shake, and large fries. Would pay $40 if I did Jack on the Union. Anyway, Six Flags is likely to close its California Great America Park in Santa Clara, California, at the end of 2027 season. The park's lease is coming to an end, and the company's chief financial officer, Brian Mithro, told investors in May that there were no current plans to extend the lease. California was originally opened in 1976 by the Marriott Corporation and traded hands multiple times before coming under ownership by Cedar Fair in 2006. Cedar Fair and Six Flags merged in 2024. Cedar Fair had previously announced plans to close its park by 2033 after the operators sold the land to a logistics company. CBS News reported in 2022, but Six Flags decided to move up the closure date with the lease expiring. Six Flags also announced in May that it would close Six Flags America and Hurricane Harbor in Maryland at the end of this season. The final day of operation for both parks will be November 2nd. Uber and Waymo have launched a driverless robo-taxi service in Atlanta, letting passengers hail cars with no human driver through the Uber app. California sues to challenge Trump's $4 billion high-speed rail clawback. Governor calls the termination of grants illegal. Political project criticizes long delayed and way over budget. Rail Authority says the program has created 15,500 jobs. California Governor Newsom on Thursday vowed to fight the illegal move by President Donald Trump's administration to cancel some $4 billion in federal grants for the state's ambitious but much delayed high-speed railroad projects. The lawsuit challenging cancellation as arbitrary and capricious abuse of authority was filed on Thursday as the U.S. District Court in Los Angeles by California High-Speed Rail Authority, which oversees the project. The illegal dispute stemming from Trump's announcement on Wednesday added yet another hurdle to the 16-year effort to link Los Angeles and San Francisco by a 3-hour train ride, a project that would deliver the fastest passenger rail service in the United States. Yeah, I want it. I'll be traveling so much easier, guys. Newsom said the move by Trump's administration department came as the high-speed rail project was on the verge of laying track with construction well underway on its initial 171-mile segment between Bakersfield and Merced in California's politically conservative Central Valley. The legal dispute stemming from Trump's announcement on Wednesday added yet another hurdle to the 16-year effort to link Los Angeles and San Francisco by a 3-hour train ride, a project that would deliver the fastest. Okay, 7 moved by Trump came out at high speed was on the verge. Sorry. In political Central Valley, the funding cancellation marked the latest confrontation between Republican President and Democratic governor, widely viewed as a leading contender for his party's 2028 White House nomination. The Federal Railroad Administration issued a 13-page report last month finding that the project was plagued with missed deadlines, budget shortfalls, and questionable ridership protections. The San Francisco to Los Angeles route was initially supposed to be completed by 2020 for $333 billion, but the project has since risen by $89 billion to $128 billion, and the start of services expected by 2033. As designed, the system would feature electronic locomotives traveling up to 220 miles per hour, 354 kph, powered entirely by renewable energy. Planners said it would eliminate 200 million miles driven by vehicles on highways, contributing significantly to reduce greenhouse emissions from transportation. The second phase of the project called for extending the rail line north to Sacramento and south to San Diego. A separate project plans to link Los Angeles and Las Vegas with high-speed rail. The previous move by Donald Trump during his first term in 2019 to revoke $929 million in federal grants was challenged by the state, leading to a settlement in June of 2021 under Democratic President Joe Biden restoring the full amount. State Assembly member Corey Jackson, a Democrat who has questioned the project's soaring costs, said Newsom's call to fight the funding could galvanized support for Democrats from organized neighboring voters in the area where the first railway job would be created despite his Republican leaning. The U.S. government's investment in high-speed rail is tiny compared to other modes of transportation, according to the California Railroad Authority. It also pales compared with some spent in other countries, including China, which opened its first high-speed rail in 2008. And has invested more than $1.4 trillion to build a network spanning 28,000 miles, the agency said. The wire and thunks of heavy equipment hauling clay and soil from underground could be heard throughout the Newhall maintenance yard on Monday as VTA begins construction on a BART expansion through Silicon Valley. Contractors have been working in the yard 22 hours a day since June 9th, pulling bent 09 clay-like material from more than 80 feet below ground and installing reinforced concrete to create a launch structure for the tunnel boring machine. The agency plans to use a single-bore tunnel for the 5-mile stretch beneath downtown San Jose. VTA began preparations in April 2024 on the 6-mile expansion, which includes a 5-mile underground tunnel and 4 new stations across San Jose and Santa Clara. The cost is tagged at $12.75 billion. The initial work, including the launch station, is being done by but the BART Silicon Valley Phase 2 Oversight Committee has approved recommendations to find another contractor for the tunnel boring after the agency and couldn't agree to a price. The board of directors will consider the recommendation at its next meeting. The Public Transit Agency has been looking for more ways to save after being awarded $1.5 billion federal grant in August 2024. While the grant will cover 40% of the project's costs, it still leaves VTA with roughly $1 billion gap. McGuire added that the agency has already found $400 million in savings through design cuts and such as modifying the four-station designs and converting expensive parking structures to surface lots. Despite looking forward, changing contractors, the VTA Director of Construction, Sarah Wilson, confirmed the lawn structure that's being built will be used regardless of who takes on the project. Wilson said it could take about 2 years to finish building the lawn structure. Construction goes from 6 a.m. to 4 a.m. She said the agency is looking for approval from Sounds and Santa Clara to extend work hours to a full 24-hour cycle. The agency installed noise barriers and used water to keep dust down around the construction site as neighboring residents or businesses have concerns with noise or other impacts from construction. She encouraged them to reach out to VTA's hotlines. So far, Wilson said they've heard no complaints. For the first time in decades, Fresno is finally going to take a serious look at light rail. Kim, a friend of mine who followed me, has been following me for 40 years, ever since started YouNow. And maybe before that, but YouNow for sure. It's one of America's most car-centric cities ready to go back to the future. Fresno, whose early neighborhoods were shaped by streetcars, is ready to reboot its relationship with rail. Caltrans officials relit a $700,000 grant this month for regional transportation planners to study whether a light rail system for Fresno Clovis Metro makes sense. The Fresno Council of Governments, the regional transportation planning body, is exploring light rail in response to community feedback, according to Deputy Director Paul Herman in an email to Fresno Land. The Regional Transportation Board also greenlit a study in May to explore regional rail access across the county, connecting rural communities with Fresno along underused freight corridors. The light rail study will assess whether there's enough passenger demand for the system, cost estimates to build it out, along with recommendations on where the best locations for new light rail lines and stations might be. They will look at different types of passenger rail systems, from light rail to streetcars. He said he is initially inspired by rail to help downtown revitalization efforts by connecting many regional amenities, the hospital, convention center, Amtrak, and so many businesses across the sprawling district. Where could light rail go in Fresno? Well, a 2023 plan suggests that Blackstone and Cesar Chavez corridors are likely options based on bus ridership trends. But Show Avenue, connecting Fresno State and Clovis, also has been highlighted as a high ridership corridor. The light rail study comes just as Fresno County officials have entered a tense season of negotiation over the next version of Measure C, the 40-year-old sales tax funding transportation expected to hit ballots in November of 2026. If successful, would join a large crop of American cities that would have made big bets on light rail to alleviate growing traffic concerns and spur economic activity over the past 2 decades, from Los Angeles to Tucson. It's not our first rodeo with light rail plans. About a quarter century after the city's last streetcar ride in 1939, Fresno's then Mayor Floyd Hyde wanted to bring the rail transit back. On the heels of the successful voter referendum in 1962, led by Bay Area business leaders to build BART, with San Diego following next, Fresno's leader explored a similar path. I'll watch my map. In May of 1966, Hyde called on the Fresno City Council to develop a bold transportation plan for the 20th century, including a major rethinking of mass transit that would be more convenient and more rapid In driving your own vehicle, he was quoted. He suggested exploring using what is now the BNSF rail tracks as a corridor for fast commuter trains, inspired after a recent trip to Japan. Throughout the 1960s, Fresno city leaders pursued an effort to create a new metropolitan transit district. City leaders hit consistent roadblocks with county board of supervisors who protested, including unincorporated areas near Fresno and Clovis in the district, according to reports from Fresno Bee at the time. The voters turned down an effort in 1971 that didn't include Clovis after Fresno County LAFCO, the agency who approves new special districts, shut down the transit district proposal in 1972. The Bee called it dead. Local business leaders instead coalesced around a plan to build the three main freeways of our regional system, the 41, the 180, and 168. Opposition to the freeways were fierce, with a few groups organizing and taking legal action to prevent their completion. But the freeway boosters were able to still secure necessary environmental and bureaucratic approvals. The only problem was money, of course. Then Governor Jerry Brown was more interested in transit than building freeways, so the freeway aspirations languished until Brown left office in 1983 when Governor George Duke Majan promised to resume California's freeway building aspirations. Federal business and political leaders had an opening. Between effective lobbying from San Francisco Representative Sacramento and a brand new sales tax in 1986, dedicated freeways called Measure C, the highway boosters won. In 1987, a handful of county leaders unsuccessfully led an effort to try to include design for light rail as the future 41, 180, 168 freeways were being planned and built out. In 1988, light rail study never made its way into an official plans when the next version of Measure C was resurrected in 2004 and then again in 2006. Many new types of public transit options were discussed, from monorail to personal rapid transit vehicles seen at some of the large airports, but not light rail. County and city transit leaders decided that bus rapid transit would be a more cost-effective way to move people around the city without cars. Faster planning efforts for the city's downtown and older neighborhoods designed around an expensive streetcar network in the early 20th century revived interest in rail. Mayor Alan Autry even led a trip of community leaders in 2007 to Portland to look at the city's successful streetcar line throughout downtown and nearby neighborhoods. A 2010 study looked at whether Fresno should consider bringing back a streetcar along with historic lines through downtown, Chinatown, and Tower District. It never got much of a public hearing. A public draft of the latest light rail study is expected by summer 2027, according to Herman. So, since I take Access, this is our new service provider. So TransDev begins operations on Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority's Access Paratransit. TransDev started operating Santa Clara VTA Access Paratransit service and managing the Americans with Disabilities Act Paratransit Eligibility Certification process on July 1st. Now, everybody says TransDev is the one doing it. No, it's not TransDev, it's VTA. VTA is the one going to do my renewal next year, which is going to be in July. So I have to start doing it in next June for another 3 years. As a shared ride service, the mirrors the service area and hours of Santa Clara VTA Border Transit Network. TransDev notes Access Paratransit provides approximately 2,000 trips per day using a fleet of cutaways, minivans, sedans, and taxis with accessible vehicles available. The ADA eligibility certification process ensures that those who need the service are eligible to access it through a fair and effective assessment process. Santa Clara Valley Transportation has introduced a fleet of 14 new Paratransit ProMaster 3500 vehicles set to start service March 1st. Yeah, it took longer than that. Sorry. For Santa Clara County, California residents who rely on AC Paratransit. Santa Clara VTA notes that the ProMaster 3500 vehicles allow for a softer and quieter ride, very comfortable though, at least the ride is, allow for a softer and quieter ride compared to previous models, a seatbelt monitoring panel for added safety, and the latest O-Strength 101. So, okay, for me, I'm right-handed, okay, so a lot of the belts are over here, meaning my left hand. So if I'm left and I'm right-handed, I'm trying to go here. Yeah, I can't do it. I have to have the driver help me. Wheelchair securement platform, which not only ensures better. Yeah, they're not using wheelchairs in that one. Ensures better security for the wheelchair and scooter clients, but also reduces the physical labor for operators. The new fleet can accommodate up to 7 ambulatory passengers and 1 wheelchair. Santa Clara VTA says the enhancements come as a direct result of valuable community and committee transportation mobility accessibility feedback, leading to adjustments such as the inclusion of emergency rear exit and reconfigured floor plan to better meet the needs of passengers. In addition, the unveiling event served as a kickoff of 2 initiatives. The Coffee with Community program on Access Paratransit Quarterly Community Engagement event is designed to promote engagement and communication between the agency's paratransit department and the community. The events will take place on various locations throughout the county, which has already happened. The Mission Rider program, an initiative that aims to evaluate and improve the quality of service provided to access passengers. By employing anonymous mystery writers, the agency seeks to identify strengths and weaknesses in the paratransit service, promoting continuous improvement and ensuring an inclusive and positive transportation experience for all riders. The open house also marked the launch of Phase 2 of the Mobility Assistance Program. The goal of MAP is to deliver transportation options that overcome barriers for the equity priority communities to access essential services such as jobs, healthcare, housing, education, and civic engagement. Santa Clara VTA already implemented MAP Phase 1 as a partnership with community-based organizations to kick off the agency's low-income transportation program as a pilot program. Use a senior VTA access renewal form to VTA, specifically to the eligibility department, which I do. Here are the ways you can submit it. Mail or drop off at VTA. You can mail your form to 3331 North 1st Street, San Jose, California 95134, or drop it off at 2 North Market Street. Or you can email the form, which I don't, because I don't have a scanner. While TransDev operates VTA access, Paratransit VTA handles eligibility and renewal process. In-N-Out Burger is not leaving California entirely, but rather relocating its headquarters and some operations to Tennessee. The company is establishing a new headquarters in Franklin, Tennessee, while maintaining a corporate presence in California, especially Baldwin Park. This move is part of the planned expansion into the eastern United States. Several factors are contributing to the shift, including concerns about the business environment in California, such as crime and regulations. In-N-Out's President Lindsay Snyder has cited concerns about the business environment in California, including crime and rates that impact the regulations. The company previously closed a location in Oakland, California due to safety concern for employees and customers, according to Fox Business. The move to Tennessee is in part of In-N-Out's strategic plan to expand its operations eastward. The new Franklin headquarters will oversee the company's operations in the eastern United States. Lindsay Snyder also mentioned that her family priorities have shifted and that the move to Tennessee will allow them to be more closer to their headquarters and the growing In-N-Out presence in the East. While not explicitly stated as the primary reason the cost of living in California is specifically higher than in Tennessee, which could also be a factor of the decision. So what does it mean for California? Well, In-N-Out's not leaving. They're good food, their diner, all staying. It is not abandoning California entirely. The company will maintain significant presence in the state, particularly in Baldwin Park, where the company was founded. The move to Tennessee is strategic expansion, not a complete departure from California. While the closure of the Irvine headquarters is significant, it does not signal a complete withdrawal of In-N-Out from California. Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern are in merger talks to create the largest railroad in Northern California that would connect the east and west coast. The merger discussions began during the first quarter of the year, according to a person familiar with the talks who isn't authorized to discuss them publicly. But it would combine the largest and smallest of the country's 6 major freight rails. Within the industry, there is widespread debate over whether such merger would be approved by the Service Transportation Board, and even though those regulators approved the deal that created CPKC Railroad 2 years ago with the Canadian Pacific's $31 billion acquisition of Kansas City Southern Railroad. The merger combined the 2 smallest major railroads in Northern California and left only 6 major freight rails, but it was the first major rail merger approved in more than 2 decades. Santa Clara neglected downtown took a key turn toward revitalization in 2023, but there's been a movement since. Market conditions and complex policies have slowed the progress since approval. Frustrated residents want Santa Clara to move on, developing 6 acres owned by the city as identified in downtown and the downtown precise plan. The other 21 acres of downtown are private property. Grizzle said downtown would serve as Santa Clara's cultural heart, giving residents and visitors a distinct restaurant and an entertainment hub in the city center. Okay, so I'm going to take a little break. You can definitely look at my mouth for a little bit, because I do see that the dasher is waiting for my dinner, and then once I receive it, I will come back and finish the story. But like as always, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Snapchat, follow me wherever I am. I want my dinner. said order was delayed. Estimated time 5:10 to 5:15. So the 27-acre downtown is bounded by Benton Street and Homestead Road, north and south, and Lafayette and Madison Streets to the east and west. The area was once Santa Clara's historic downtown, which the city demolished in 1968. Directly borders the city Old Quad neighborhood, which has many historic home buildings. City spokesperson said there are multiple economic barriers slowing redevelopment, including the high cost of construction, facing financing difficulties. Other projects, such as related to Santa Clara, have come to a standstill as developers try to navigate the uneasiness of potential tariffs and rising interest rates. They worry that the city-owned blocks may be affected by the Surplus Land Act, a 2019 California law that requires local governments to prioritize affordable housing on public land. It's difficult to ensure a completely affordable housing development will have the retail space envisioned in the development plan. They say more clarity on how the city can navigate state restrictions. Scientists say the Earth will meet its demise in 19.5 billion years with what they call the Big Crunch. Cosmologists at Cornell University say the universe will eventually stop expanding and then be swallowed back into super small singularity for which it came. Well, okay. How long as long as it won't hurt? Which, like most people, I'll see it when I believe it. The next story is about how Trump. Be right back, guys. racist thing. Okay, so let's preface set this. So you know how Trump's been talking about those we'll call it stimulus checks from the Doge thing. So preface to this. So nothing came from IRS yet. Nothing's coming from Trump physically. Nothing's came from, even though TikTok says, oh, you're getting a lovely $2,000 check, it'll be in your bank by, yeah. The typical answer. We'll see when we see it in the bank, right? Okay, so Trump tariff rebate check. What is American Worker Rebate Check Act of 2025? So, the American Worker Rebate Act of 2025 has been introduced after President Trump floated the idea of a tariff rebate check for taxpayers, much like the stimulus checks that were given during the COVID-19 pandemic on July 25th. Responding to a reporter that asked about all of the tariff revenue coming in and the possibility of rebate to the American public, Trump said, quote, "We are thinking about that actually a few days after the president's tariff rebate comments. Missouri Republican Senator Josh Hawley announced the American Worker Rebate Act of 2025 aimed at sending checks to Americans. Here's what we know about a possible stimulus rebate check and how much who would qualify. Hawley's bill, called the American Worker Rebate Act of 2025, would provide a minimum of $600 per adult and dependent and $2,400 for a family of 4, according to news officials. The benefit would be reduced by 5% for joint filers with an adjusted gross income of above $150,000 and or single filers earning more than $75,000. According to an analysis from the Budget Lab at Yale, released July 28, Trump's tariffs could cost U.S. households an average of $2,400 in 2025 through higher prices passed on from companies paying higher tariff taxes. The Treasury Department said on July 25th that the U.S. government posted $2.7 billion surplus in June, following a $316 billion deficit in May. Customs duties totaling approximately $2.7 billion or $27 billion for the month, up from $23 billion in May and 301% higher than June of 2024. On an annual basis, tariff collections have totaled $113 billion or 86% more than a year ago. The bill would allow for a larger rebate if the tariff revenue exceeds projections. Are we getting a stimulus check or Trump tariff rebate in 2025? Trump floated the idea of using part of the government revenue being generated by the new tariffs and returning it to taxpayers of a certain income level in the form of a rebate check. The rebate check would be similar to the stimulus check sent during the pandemic. A rebate is a partial refund of a purchase price that a consumer paid, often upon meeting certain conditions, more like a discount that is refunded after the purchase versus a discount that was applied to the point of sale. A stimulus check, on the other hand, is a direct payment to encourage spending and stimulate the economy by putting money directly into the consumer's hands. So, I said this would be a longer post. So, that being said, thank you for watching. Thank you for the subs. Check me out on YouNow. Check me out on YouTube. Check me out on Instagram. Check me out on Facebook if the account is all working or not. And you know what? I'm going to see you guys soon.